So we can call the meeting to order. First item up. We can welcome everybody, but they're for the second item on the agenda.
We can still welcome.
Okay.
Okay, welcome.
So, anything emergent to add to the agenda?
I have nothing to add.
I'll move that we adopt.
James moves for adoption. Any questions or concerns? All in favor? Opposed? That is carried. And then accounts payable for information. Larry? Any questions or concerns? Okay, go ahead.
Just a quick one, the retirement service award, that's obviously Barry.
Two in there.
Was there two in there?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, there's two. Very good. Did you thank them for their service?
That already happened.
Oh, yes. I had that one?
No, I'm standing at the golf course.
Oh,
Well, Barry had his own.
Yes.
yes, you
We're
did.
sending Claire's stuff.
Any other questions? Seeing none, all in favor of receiving information, opposed, that is carried. And moving on to item number 2, we have a statutory public hearing, bylaw 1974/2024 to amend land use bylaw number 1957, 2023. And Barry, would you like to introduce this? Brian, sorry, talking about Barry?
So you called it to hurt someone too?
Yeah, just about. I'll call it Georgia now. Yeah, not for.
Very nice shirt. It's like my favorite stuff.
On August 19th, council gave first reading to bylaw 1974, which is a bylaw to amend the Redcliff land use bylaw 1957, 2023. The subject lands were civically known as 226 6th Street Southeast, which are currently zoned RGen, which is Residential General District. And the application was to rezone those lands to R medium, which is a residential medium district in the land use district map. The administration has advertised the public hearing in the local newspaper on the town's website, as well as on all other town social media platforms. And then it was mailed, and notification was mailed to all the adjacent property owners. Administration has received 6
Got another one today.
written responses regarding this. The copies of those are attached for reference. The bylaw amendment was taken to the Municipal Planning Commission at the regular meeting on August 21st, 2024. The Municipal Planning Commission moved that the following comments be forwarded to council on behalf of the MPC. And that's that MPC members are recommending that the current zoning of RGen, General Residential District for lots 33 through 35, block 47, plan 1117B is appropriate for this location. Attached to this is the copy of the bylaw, which received first reading, as well as copies of the email responses that we did receive.
In addition, you have one in front of you as well that was received today.
Yep.
State one.
More reiterating the tone of everybody else's.
I don't, we all should have had time to read them, so.
If
No,
we
you don't
can
have
at
to.
least enter them, go into the record that they were received and their names.
Is that all?
That's it.
Okay. And
So Derek Martin is the applicant and he would like to speak to the matter. Then there are some others that would like to speak as well.
okay. Okay.
Popular topic, and I do just want to say that, you know, certainly I have read through the email messages, and certainly the number one concern is parking, and rightfully so, for a project or a building like this. I don't know if you have access to it or can put it up there, but this is the site plan for the project. Now, obviously, with the town of Redcliff, it is 1.5 stalls per unit. And between the lane parking and the front parking, there is 12 parking stalls available on the property. I do want to say, I noticed in some of the other emails as well, that there was concern, obviously, about privacy as well. And part of the reason why I had a preference for this unit or a preference for this design is because entrances into the units are primarily front and rear, minimizing obviously the amount of side traffic. In terms of, I guess where can I start here? In terms of my prerogative or my goal in doing this, I moved to Redcliff here about 7 years ago. My wife grew up here. I have a young family here. I'm involved with the local minor hockey association. And at the end of the day, I have really honestly fallen in love with community. And what I would like to see, obviously by the title of the proposal here with Redcliff Family Living, is I would like to see more young families move out to Redcliff and find that same appreciation for the community that I have. It's, you know, this lot in particular, the reason and what appealed to me was not just obviously the size of the lot for the potential opportunity, but the fact that it's, you know, kitty corner from Lions Park and the water park, the fact that it's 2 blocks away from an elementary school. It just really, you know, I really saw an opportunity there for us to, you know, obviously from a personal level, of course, everyone is going to say that and see that. But from a community perspective, a chance to really develop and try to grow the community, because that is the kind of person that I am. I run the Learn to Play program with minor hockey. I'm involved with working with the Lions Club with the Big Assist equipment program and providing opportunities for families who maybe can't afford things. Again, that's just to give you more definition of my character and the person I am, and what my goal is in this project truly is to see community growth. It's certainly not to stockpile or, you know, I think the one letter had sardines. We're certainly not looking for that perspective. The second thing is and for those of you who would like to certainly view the plans, I mean, we have kind of modified them a little bit. I'm not looking to build townhouses here. I'm not looking to build a high rise. I'm looking to build something that, you know, again, going back to one of the emails concerned about the value of your home property. I'm looking at doing things that are going to boost our community and boost those values and ultimately, again, make Redcliff more appealing for people who maybe don't live here. Another option I have in my proposal as well, because of course affordability is a hot topic nowadays as well. The basement as well can be done either in 2-bedroom units, or there is the potential there, if there's interest, again along the lines of affordability and accessibility, to do 4 studio suites, which would be single bedroom, single bathroom units as well. So ultimately for this project, it's going to be based on where the interest is in terms of potential tenants. But yeah, I mean, that's kind of me in a nutshell. That's, you know, what we're looking at doing with this project in a nutshell. Obviously, I've got some very, very good people involved in this project. DOS Developers, Dave Reinheller. He's built every home I've ever lived in, and you know, very reputable builder. Even in terms of our management and consultation as we work along this project, Jill and Michael Hook have been project managers and property managers in the past, so they will be our consultants as we go through this process as well. I feel like I'm just starting to ramble on. So by all means, if someone else has questions or concerns, I just want people to know too that I'm an open book. If there is concerns, I'm here to answer them. And work with any concerns, you know, with it, obviously within reason. So.
Does anybody have any questions you would like to ask? Go ahead, Jane.
Just curious, have you been in consultation with the town's development officer at all about this project, other than in regards to the zoning, or like as far as development goes?
Just with Brian, honestly.
Brian,
Yeah. Yeah. And honestly, that was another thing that really I thought was fitting with this property. Is the property, you know, directly south of this, obviously, is the old St. Mary's Church, and that's been developed into a multi-unit property. So rather than trying to purchase a property and try to develop something like this in a, you know, maybe an area that it doesn't necessarily fit as well. Sorry, I'm getting a little dry, but yeah, I felt like it was a fit. And again, given the proximity to the parks and to the schools and things like that, that was the premise behind it, really.
Okay. Thank you.
Right.
Okay, so we did have one request that wanted to speak against the project, and that would be Mr. Kratz.
Mr. Formal.
Okay, Rob.
Well, thanks for having me. Now, beyond what I've included in my opposition letter, I just wanted to add a few more of our final thoughts. I appeal to council and the developer, for that matter, to consider the following. What if a multi-unit development was proposed in your neighborhood? How would you feel? How would your neighbors feel? If a multi-unit project was to be built next door, or even 2 doors down, the fact that there's 12 parking spots included, and this is the first time I've been exposed to what was actually going to be developed. No one has approached us. No one has come around to talk to us to see about our thoughts on it were from the get-go. But even 12 spots, to me, it almost looks apartment-like. If there's going to be 8 units, you should have some visitor parking. I can see parking on the street becoming a problem. So, as I say, how would you feel if it was built next door to you, or even 2 doors down, or across the street, or across the lane? There's going to be a lot of lane traffic. There's 8 parking stalls in that lane. Mike sitting on the corner, Andre sitting across the back lane, Janice Booker. There's going to be a ton of traffic going down that lane for these tenants. I mean, with this in mind, how would that affect your decision if it was, for lack of better terms, in your backyard? I think the property is ideally suited for general residential. It is ideal for a duplex. Wonderful. No objection to that. So with that in mind, I just want to kind of reaffirm our opposition to the proposed change. Thank you. Does anybody have any questions, I guess?
We have not seen any.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, thank
Thank
you.
you, sir.
And so now it'd be, would anybody else in the room like to have the floor? Bill? Mr. Boosering?
I was going to say, well, thank you very much. I don't know, I just heard about this the other day, and although it doesn't affect me directly, it may do down the road if, say, if a house close to me was removed and they wanted to develop it into a multi-level building like this. I think morally it's wrong. I think it's a bad decision. I know MPC was against it in the beginning. I don't know if they re-looked at it or were they against it, right? Did they vote against it up to date now? Like, are they still against it, MPC, or,
We just made comments.
oh, you just make comments?
Yeah.
So,
And they saw it after we gave it first reading.
oh, I see.
They did.
Well, I just think it reminds me of First Street in Medicine Hat, when they wanted to plot that multi-story building there, and the neighbors were really against it. And I can see why, because if it was next to me and my backyard was overlooked by a load of people, I wouldn't be happy at all, especially when I bought that property knowing that that probably wouldn't happen. And I just think it's not fair. It's a money grab. I don't know what this gentleman got that lot for, but I bet it was a pretty good deal. And I think that's his motivation for doing that, was he got a cheap lot. I think there's lots of lots in Redcliff where he could have built somewhere else. And the kids will be close to their schools and close to all the other amenities. So I think morally it's wrong.
Anybody
No?
have any questions?
Thank you.
So anybody else? Go ahead. I don't know you, so you'll have to introduce yourself when you get up here. Sorry.
That's not even-
I know half the people in town.
Yeah, we've
He's the other-
met in the past, but nice to meet you again, Dwight. My name is Michael Arnold. I am the owner of the church that was converted into the fourplex. So my concern here, I just recently heard that the proposed eightplex, I actually thought it was a duplex to maybe a fourplex. I could kind of see the fourplex idea with the land size and what it would be for that land. However, when I heard the eightplex, I went, whoa, that seems a little overkill for that plot of land. And also for a lot of reasons of our privacy, our, like, it's going to be overlooking how we were able to develop what we currently were allowed to do with the land that was already there with the church. So if that goes up there, basically we're going to have 8 families right next door. This is, of course, my first time seeing this plot, and I look at it and I go, well, that parking stall is literally right up against my fence and my retaining wall that I put in. It's on my property that I built there. I gave a little bit of easement so that it was mine. But I'm like, you're now kind of encroaching, basically parking right along my fence on the other side of my fence. The other thing that struck me here is it shows the lane with still one garbage can. I know when my grandparents converted the church into a fourplex, there was no other added garbage cans, and that I had other neighbors mention to me that, boy, that made a lot of stress on what was allotted for the current people there. But then we added 3 more units in that area. So seeing that there is only still one garbage can there, I don't see how that is gonna work. They're just, and this is just the things that I'm seeing off the cuff kind of thing. And I'm like, there's a lot more, I'm sure, to it. The parking issue, there is allotment of stalls. However, having tenants and stuff, there's usually 2 vehicles per unit most of the time. That's going to just spill out onto the roads, and it's going to be encroaching on all the neighbors. So with that, there's going to be eight more families instead of 2. That there's going to be more noise, more movement, more, it's just that whole area it's going to change the whole dynamics of small town living into a very tight area there. So I just wanted to, mention maybe there is a little bit more towards, like, oh, did you ever think about the garbage? Did you ever think about that many people in that small of an area? And again, I have no problem with the duplex. That makes sense to me, but an eightplex would definitely change the outlook for us. So, thank you.
Any questions? Okay.
I would just like to clarify that the role of council tonight is looking at the rezoning, the land use bylaw amendment from RGen to R medium, and not specifically the development proposal
Just whether we approve that particular lot.
for that. Yes,
Yeah, we're not approving a development today.
correct.
Anybody else like to speak?
Yeah, but yes, don't mind. I'll just to reiterate, obviously, you know, like I said before, I'm an open book. I want to address concerns and clearly what you guys have said. I'm sorry, should be close to this, but you know, clearly what you've said are all very valid concerns. And if those are concerns, I mean, again, if everyone is absolutely opposed to 8-unit idea, again, which is only taking the studio suites, I have no issues taking that off the table, truthfully, because again, I'm willing to work with the neighborhood. I'm willing to work with the neighbors. So by all means, if that is number one concern, that can easily be adjusted, because I'm not here to raise heck. I'm here to, you know, certainly to work with you guys and be a good neighbor as well. So yeah, if that is certainly a big concern, by all means, it can be an option that's off the books. So I'll just leave it.
I did see you were putting your hand up. Okay. Just state your name, please, when you get up.
Justin Vanderberg.
You want to spell your last name?
VAN space DER space MERWE.
Okay.
Evening.
Spelled the way it sounds.
Yeah.
Like a South African name.
Like the doctor in the main road, right? Good evening. So I'm speaking against this basically. I live at 218 on 218 6th Street, Southeast, so one house down basically. So I guess there's several concerns, and I appreciate the comments Derek made now. Sorry, it is Derek, right?
Yes, that's right.
About my sense is also, and this has been said, that, you know, certainly one could put a duplex there, possibly a fourplex, but it tends to, the space probably gets maxed out sort of reasonably, I guess, at about fourplex, I'd say. And there's obviously several problems. Like, for example, parking's been mentioned. If you look at the back, to get into those parking lots is going to be very difficult. If you're in a long truck, you know, you need to sort of swing your car. You probably need to reverse, and then by then you could probably maybe hitting the neighbor on the back end on the across the lane. You need to reverse and then sort of maneuver your car into that. And the lane, I think, is probably only about 6 meters wide, in which case, you know, typical parking bay is about 2.7 meters wide. So those are literally chock-a-block. So you know, realistically, they'd have to be wider than normal, so they'd have to be at least 3 meters each, maybe a little bit more, in order to accommodate for that swing that you would need just to get in that space. You know, then there's the issue of site coverage. With all that sort of asphalt or concrete likely at the back end and the front, you know, the drainage is going to be affected. So how are you going to run the water towards the rear or the front? Otherwise, it would start spilling over into the neighboring properties. You know, on the one hand, the park is nearby, which was said to be an attraction, but of course that's also an area where kids tend to run across the street. My daughter plays; she's 6 years old. She plays in Lions Park regularly, and you know, I'm not even sure if traffic needs to come to
to 30 kilometers an hour sort of traveling speed outside the park, but I wouldn't be surprised if that is indeed the case. If you look at where fourplexes are normally put in the town, they're obviously better suited on corner lots where you've got a lot of fast, you've got a wide setback from the avenue, and then also you've got quite a reasonable setback from the street. There's a lot of space to play with on a corner lot. So I mean, I could go on, but I think most of this has probably been covered as well. Thank you for hearing me out.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Anybody else wishes to speak?
Good evening, everyone. My name is Hazel Hightown. I live at 214 6th Street, so a couple of houses down. And kudos to you for building or thinking of building for young families. We definitely need that. And I'm new. I'm a year and a half here in Redcliff, lovely town. I'd like to see more young people come to the area. And this is my first time seeing this design. And I don't see any outside space for these young families to stay in their own yard and play. We do have the park across, but you got a young mom with little kids. It's nice to say, okay, go in your backyard and play when she's got work to do around the house. And then running across the street to the park, I know what speed people drive by on that, and it isn't the speed limit. So you're just opening up a can of worms, having that much more traffic depending on that park for entertainment for these extra homes. So that's my 2 cents. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
You're not getting up, you're just moving, okay.
They covered it all, so.
All right. Okay, anybody else wishes to speak? Does any counselors wish to say?
I'll say something. What a good little community you guys got. I mean, everybody came and spoke their point. Everybody accepted it very respectfully. Good for you, Derek, for offering to pull back the 8 units. Good little community you guys got there. Good for you guys.
Yeah, it comes up later on in the agenda. This is just a public hearing. Okay, nobody else wishes to say? Okay, then I will declare the public hearing closed.
As well stick around a little bit longer. We're gonna be debating it pretty soon.
Thank you.
Well, that's okay.
Very exciting, staying for a while.
You guys are missing the answer.
That's why I kind of asked the question, but okay.
I'm not sure they heard you when you said that.
That's okay. I'm not gonna change.
Do you guys realize that you'll be getting the answer soon?
The bylaw will be put for sure in your reading tonight. It will be.
Maybe 5 minutes, maybe.
Yeah, it's like we'll be making our decision this evening.
It might be of interest to.
Yes. We just try to do whatever we can to keep people in this room.
Yeah, listen, Sarah locked the door and then.
That's great.
Behind the meeting.
Oh, no, you're welcome to stay. We're gonna be voting on this in about 5 minutes.
He's probably already home.
He's sitting in the truck.
My neighbors are mad at me. It's not that cordial. Good for you guys.
Good for you for sitting there and hearing all the opposition.
Okay, great. Item number 3, minutes. First up is council minutes of September 9th, 2024. They're here for adoption. Back. Anybody have any questions, concerns, errors, omissions? Seeing none, all in favor? Opposed? That is carried. And then the next minutes up are the Municipal Planning Commission meeting minutes from September 18th for information. Larry? Any questions or concerns? No? You're voting already. Oh, good for you, dude. All in favor? Opposed? That is carried. And then the Redcliff Cypress Regional Waste Management Authority meeting from September 11th. Questions or concerns? All in favor? Opposed? That is carried. Okay. Good. I gotta read it first. Oh, no.
Easy one.
Okay.
Making any motion.
Number 4, bylaws. Bylaw number 1974, 2024, a bylaw to amend bylaw number 1957, 2023, being the land use bylaw, is here for second and third reading. Somebody like to move it for second reading?
I will second reading.
James.
Chris speaking. I'll make the third reading 2 times tonight.
You may not have to.
I know, that's what I'm getting.
Anyway,
I have a question.
go ahead.
So I believe when we talked, and I might be wrong, but I believe we talked about this with first reading. And in the rezoning from our gen to our medium, that there was no stipulation on necessarily maximum amount of units, where we go from 1 or 2 to infinite, whatever fit on the lot essentially.
But truthfully though, when it got in front of MPC, then MPC could have got it down there.
Right.
Because of parking issues, et cetera, et cetera.
Right, so my question is, if we were to rezone this, I don't know if this falls under the MGA or not, but could we rezone with conditions, or is it just rezoning to either one or the other?
Correct.
So technically right now, for us, even though there's that big elephant in the room, we are here for a zoning change.
Yes,
From
and
our gen to our
No,
medium,
and I
and then
understand that.
the whole our medium, if it gets passed, all those conditions start to play. And
you can't put restrictions on what our medium means when you rezone. is my question.
because that's the other beautiful thing about the land use bylaw is if the use fits, you can't appeal it. You can only appeal discretionary.
Yes,
Yes.
Okay.
And there's no in between.
no, there's really,
It went from a house or a duplex to whatever can fit on the lot based on square meters.
yes.
Yes. And that was done by professionals who were overpaid. Sorry.
But if it goes to our gen today, that doesn't necessarily mean that
If it
it's.
stays our business.
Sorry. If it goes to our medium today, then that doesn't necessarily mean that he can build whatever. The sky's not the limit. It still needs to be approved, the project.
Well, no,
No,
because if we move it to our medium, then
We've given approval.
Brian has the authority to approve the development if it fits the conditions.
Yeah.
Unless it's to a point where it's into the discretionary portion of, because this has approved and then discretionary. So if that was to fall into approved, he would have no choice. He doesn't get to discriminate, I don't think.
and we went through this already this year.
He'd want more money right away if we gave him that kind of authority. Go ahead, Kathy.
So I'm not opposed to the rezoning to a medium dwelling district. I am opposed to an eightplex on that property.
And that's where,
That's where.
that's not the road we're walking on.
Yeah, because there are other fourplexes in close proximity, but an eightplex. No. No, it doesn't fit with the neighborhood.
Maybe another stupid question here, I think I might ask this last time too, is instead of rezoning to our medium, could we do like a direct control where there's a little more control over the stipulations and restrictions of the property? So that we're not going to sky's the limit.
Again, that's not what's in front of you today either.
Nope,
Nope.
nope, but just a discussion topic. I don't know if that,
Well, there's 2 administration staff here that can help.
yeah, that's why I was looking at Shannon.
Kind of like Larry was getting serious exam and his hearing aid there.
Thank you. I think those are great points that were brought up. What the intent of the land use bylaw was is even if we rezone it to our medium, he still has to meet all the conditions of the land use bylaw, which does include site coverage, which does include parking, which does include private amenity spaces, which does include public amenity spaces. So no matter what, the sky is not the limit because you still have to meet all those conditions. So no matter what you're putting on that property, it still has to meet all those conditions, setbacks, site coverage, amenity spaces, parking. All of those still have to be met in that. So well, yes, you do allow much more density in your neighborhood, but you are also limited by the size of the lot. Okay. So there's a maximum you can put on there. So to be able to say like, hey, I'm going to put a 3-story apartment building there, that's physically impossible to meet all your parking requirements, your setbacks, your private amenity spaces, your public amenity spaces. Those things haven't been met. Okay. So there is well, yes, it does open it up by moving it to our medium. There is also limitations to what they can and can't do on each and every site, individually based. So no, I don't get that discretion to just do it because it is limiting.
It still has to fit within the parameters.
Right.
But that lot being 75 by 130 is over, I believe that's works out to over 900 square meters, right? It's a fairly large lot.
Yeah, it's a triple lot.
So that's still,
Well, it won't be 900.
905.8.
thank you.
I have.
It's a big lot. It's the same size as mine without the boulevard.
But if you, yeah, I guess.
And that's why I was saying, like, once we go to this, Derek is within his right to build as big as he can on that property, as long as it conforms, right? And if he goes over some of the thresholds, then it becomes a discretionary and then it can be appealed. But there's all kinds of things that wouldn't be appealed on that property.
As long as you're fitting all the land use
Right.
bylaw requirements, yes,
Right.
for sure.
And I know we're not supposed to look at that site plan,
Correct.
right?
But even if we do look at that site plan, what we don't see today is, okay, so we've met parking requirements of 1.5 stalls per
Right.
unit. But the land use bylaw also requires for visitor parking as required by the development authority.
And I didn't see
We haven't
private
discussed.
amenities on there either.
And that's another thing that we haven't discussed, or public amenity.
Right.
You know, so while Derek has supplied this site plan to us, we also haven't looked at it from a development standpoint yet.
Right.
So that plan probably couldn't meet the requirements anyways,
I don't-
just with quick oversight.
I can't say that one way or the other because we don't officially have anything where it's been looked at from a
Yes.
development standpoint.
Every suite needs an outside space.
It requires private amenity spaces, which I think is 6.0 meters squared. which is basically a land.
70 square, okay.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, but.
0.6. Okay, yeah.
Well, yeah, there was front landings on each door, I
So-
believe, but not, I don't know if that was big.
Yeah, so there.
I was more thinking a a patio.
So I mean, if we take just that site plan at its face right now, it is nothing that could be approved by the development officer. So that would require, again, either some variance of some kind, which, and I really do want to thank everybody here because I've been here 12 years and this is the most engagement we've ever had. So I'm really happy with that.
Bring up the garbage can, right?
Good or bad.
And that wasn't near as cordial. You skipped those.
I did miss the garbage cans. But I will say, like, some of the items they brought up, like garbage cans or size of parking spaces or drainage or amenity spaces, those things that will have to be addressed. I mean, we just don't get to address them until we get to the development permit stage, but they aren't things that won't be addressed. So, I mean, and even if I hear correctly from everyone who spoke, is we have a general feeling that a fourplex is fine. You can't build a fourplex under RGen. So to be able to do any kind of density, which is what our land use bylaw and our municipal development plan both encourage, can't really do it under the RGen.
Go ahead.
So I don't know if you can answer this, but would, I would think fourplex would work on that piece of property, right? But I know you can't officially say yes or no.
I mean, is it a fourplex that's 3,000 square feet each unit?
Good, okay.
I don't.
Would your educated opinion be?
It was one of those overpaid educated people.
See, and now you can.
Yeah.
Good job, Chris.
Permit application would need to be submitted with the site drawings in order for Brian to be able to answer some of those questions.
Okay, all right, that was a great answer.
There's a chicken and egg.
Shut up, yeah.
So if we vote this down today, then it'll be RGen.
Yes.
Maybe there is room in the community for something more than just a duplex there. And maybe there is room for more than just a duplex there. A fourplex is what I'm hinting at, that could meet the requirements. But if we make it RGen, then it's RGen. Is it maybe in the best interest of everybody to pull this application? And we don't vote on that today?
Come back.
But I don't know what you're saving.
Well, then it's RGen. Then you can't do a fourplex.
Sure.
Go ahead, Larry.
I feel that it's zoned appropriately, given that our park and water park and everything are there. I think it's ideally suited for a duplex. But to put a more dense development in that area would detract from what we have with the park and the water park and all the stuff we've already got there.
There's already more dense, though, in the area as in the neighboring property.
The neighboring property was a church and it had facilities to handle the parking for the congregation, which gave it a large parking lot. It's on a corner lot. It's not apples to apples.
Yeah, I see the temptation to make that comparison, but I think Larry's right. It's not quite apples to apples.
I look at it and there are fourplexes on the other side of the park,
3 or 4 of them.
right directly across from the RCMP detachment. Those are all fourplexes.
It's just, we don't, there's no middle ground, like our old bylaw had smaller steps. This one doesn't.
Yeah,
right.
Right?
But
Our
if
old
we make this
bylaw went
RGen,
from R1, R2, R3, this one just goes RGen or medium. And then you can't say.
Yeah.
Because if a sixplex would work on that lot, you could build one, right?
But if we make it RGen today, does that sterilize it from being a fourplex?
Yes.
Yep. Because
That's why I was
it is
thinking
even
maybe-
discretionary,
Maybe
but it already is RGen, so you're not saving any steps,
a fourplex is not allowed in RGen.
right?
Which is why I made the comment about if this got shot down today, maybe a direct control application might be.
Yeah, I see your direction with that. That made sense.
I would offer the point that direct control isn't there just for you need to direct that
Okay.
to actually do that. And that land use bylaws for there. Direct control is for those that are very unique or very one-offs. We do have a spot where fourplexes are allowed already in our land use bylaw. To have a different zoning might be more applicable. You know, like where we do, if it is council's decision, like we would rather go back to having an like R1, R2, R3, you know, similar to that. So, you know, like you have an R medium light, I guess for lack of a better word, where it just allows fourplexes or triplexes.
But that process is lengthy. How lengthy?
It would be similar to this process.
So it would just be a 2-month lengthy,
We're looking at 60 to 90 days.
Yeah.
It's all,
right? Yeah. And still, the biggest reason why we're doing that is because we already know something. And knowledge is a problem sometimes.
I've read that before.
No, well, I know.
That's why you got that haircut.
It may also be viewed that the council's not even count like the community's needs or wants or goals have changed. So when this bylaw was enacted in 2023, the idea is hey, we'll open it up for that density, but you still have to meet all those requirements. But if there are situations where council views that we just need lots that are just this, I won't say that has anything to do with knowledge. It just has, other than we've learned something last year and said, hey, okay, we need to reevaluate where maybe there is a shortcoming in our land use bylaw, and we bring in that zone.
I think there's definitely a gap. This would have been a way easier if there was, if the old bylaw was still around, yeah, that there would have been a house or a duplex, and then multi-dwelling was duplex to fourplex, and then bigger, right? We had 4 zones before, but the 4th was just manufactured homes, I believe. So there was still the 3, and now we've just gone here, and not even a year later, it's created an issue. And we've talked about, I mean, housing is a concern, affordable housing is a concern, and it's not, I don't think, because of so much the shortage of doors, is because how much a door costs. That's why there's a housing shortage. And when we come to something like this, I can see where a neighborhood could be worried. I mean, I live on a block where at the end of my block, there's 4 fourplexes, and they're fine. But they've been there longer than me, technically. And I don't live next to an 8-plex. I don't. And NIMBY is a big thing. And it's real.
Well, I think culturally now, the norm is to move more towards multi-unit instead of large spread out lots. I think when you drive around a lot of newer areas, you don't have the feel that you've got in the area of Redcliff, well, even like where I live, there's 6 houses on my block. It's fantastic, but it's also not what you see nowadays, because land is worth so much, and infill and density seems to be more of the norm, which is, I believe our east side development had quite a bit of medium and high density allocated areas. It seemed like that would be where the town was wanting to focus, but now we're looking at infill instead of new.
Well, I don't know which way we're going. Like the small town thing is something that has been in the master plan for years, and that's great. But I also know that you can have a single family dwelling with 4 families in it. And then there's no control over that, except the parking is just everywhere, because they don't even have to have parking stalls.
Yeah.
And in Europe, you have multifamily dwelling because it's normal. And I think even in the cities, you're starting to see more and more of that.
Yeah.
And that's why the push is for denser. But it just seems to go to, if you go from here to here, that's just a big jump. Go ahead, Larry.
I think some of these things that you're talking about the communities have public transportation. And we don't have public transportation.
This is true.
That's true. Yeah.
Or maybe they just don't have cars.
I think that's one of the wisest things like you said, Larry.
That's it. Anyway, does anybody else like to say anything?
Brian, can you remind me what it says about visitor parking again? How many lots are needed?
In multifamily, the land use bylaw does not provide a number, just require the 1.5 stalls per unit, plus visitor parking as required by the development authority.
Okay, so that's where you can get a little bit of oversight, where you can say,
That's where the municipal planning commission would get oversight.
okay,
And the way that drawing was done, there's
no visitor
no room and you can't park on the street either because it's driveway.
parking.
We're not supposed to think about that.
I know, I know, I know.
I would say one of the good things that actually comes out of this exercise is the fact that we understand that the community is very understanding of wanting to protect the neighborhoods while understanding also at the same time we need density. So it's not like they're opposed to density, maybe it's just the amount of density. So I would say like any application that does come towards into the town of Redcliff would be automatically sent to the Municipal Planning Commission because of its interest to the community and because we need that public input. So no matter what happens here tonight, the neighborhood still has an opportunity to speak on it. Because that application, unless it fits a permitted use, is going to go to the Municipal Planning Commission for comment or for decision. And in which case all the neighbors would be, again, have an opportunity to speak. And where these, and there are very, very valid points like garbage cans and size of parking space and drainage and amenity space, all will be addressed.
So if this is voted down today, we've recognized that we have a hole in our land use bylaw.
We have a gap.
Yeah.
And so it would be prudent if it got voted down that the second motion get made that admin start to draft a mid.
Okay, so to my point, I was going to say, if this gets voted down today, it should be known that we recognize that there's a hole and a gap. Our gap, as you put it, in our land use bylaw, and we are willing to go in there and do our work to fix it and try to accommodate for a little more density.
Would that hinder him putting in another application then? With that?
No. But if it gets voted down, he can't apply. The only thing he could do till there was a middle
Gap fix.
is apply for a single family or duplex, because that's all that fits in our gap. So there would be a time frame. He was thinking of foundation before winter. I think he'd be thinking maybe we won't have a winter this winter.
When were you thinking of getting the shovel in the ground?
As soon as everybody's happy.
So never, okay.
No, I mean, in all honesty, in this process, I was hoping to do it before the end of the year, but that being said, like I said, I mean, obviously, this has been very educational, so I mean, probably truthfully, maybe looking at next year now, honestly.
Jesus, tough to work with.
No, like I said, guys, I'm honestly an open book. I mean, I can tell from this evening, the 8-plex is certainly off the table, and I have no issues with that. I mean,
It's not my place to ask right now, but what's your thoughts on a 4-plex?
you're gonna get mad at me always, Shannon's like.
I want to make an additional comment, so if I may. 60 to 9 days might be a little bit short-sighted, with having to bring it back to NPC and to council for creating a new zone.
I think it's okay to spring anyway. So.
If there's lots of discussion that I'm hearing.
We could potentially have something for like.
I think we can be more succinct if it's simpler.
But there also might be different projects coming up that we could be holding up too, so we do have to do.
Change that land use bylaw.
Yeah, that's good. It's simpler. It's too simple now. in this regard.
All right. Does anybody else have anything to say pertinent to the motion? Okay, then I'm gonna call the question. All in favor? Opposed? It's defeated. Somebody like to make a different motion?
Like I would instruct administration to revisit the land use bylaw. How would you, pardon me?
And develop,
Maybe an R medium light. I like that name.
okay,
I don't know if I need to name it right now. You know
So
the
let's-
direction.
yeah,
Sorry. Yeah, the councilor's number district. That's a great idea.
So what I'm hearing is you're asking administration to go and develop an additional zoning for land use bylaw, which will be, less than,
Directed to lighter density,
yes.
so long as it's worded that
Maybe a back
you're half size of.
we can discuss that when it comes.
Yes,
Okay.
we'll bring something back
More
for
details.
consideration. And narrow down.
By next council meeting.
Sorry.
Where the trail.
Okay, is everybody clear? All in favor? Opposed? It's carried. So everybody's clear?
Now they stay.
You're still welcome to stick out if you want.
Okay, now moving on, number 5, request for decisions. We have tax recovery reserve bid and auction for consideration. Okay, shut her off.
Well, I'll make the motion that we, motion number 1, I'm not gonna read all that. I'll make motion number 1.
Okay, James moved number 1.
So all this is because we didn't inform people,
The party interest.
so like the banks and stuff like that, or like banks and people who are on title, or?
And we did inform them, we just didn't send them a copy of the advertisement.
You didn't tell them we were trying to steal their houses.
Yeah.
And businesses.
These normally don't get sold anyways.
I was surprised at some of the addresses.
Okay, does anybody have any comments, concerns? Seeing none, all in favor? Opposed, that is carried. Then the special Olympics, Winter Games.
For information.
Whether every 4 years.
You know, special Olympics, regular Olympics, aren't filling.
Councilor Zamber had made.
Oh, you did? No, he just was playing auctioneer.
I said it too.
Oh, okay. Okay, Chris, all right. Any questions or concerns? All in favor? Opposed? That's carried. Moving on to policies, we have policy number 029 for Diem allowances. James. Any questions or concerns? Okay, go ahead, Jim.
In there, it says something about per diem allowances shall. Oh, sorry. But anyway, there's a line in here where it says that only if it's part of your regular duties, you cannot collect a per diem.
Yeah.
Okay, now it sounds like I'm not in against this, but anyway, What about going to the convention? Isn't that part of everybody's job as being a counselor?
No, because what it says here is your normal assigned committee responsibilities.
So like
So
MPC
those are
or
your
regional
committees.
based.
Like
Okay,
you're on the library board, so you
Yeah.
don't get paid to go to the library board. But if that library board was having a meeting in Elkwater, you could still get mileage there and back. You just wouldn't get paid
oh,
per diem.
right,
And so Matt is on PEP. So he goes to the meeting, he doesn't put in per diems, but if they're in Oyen, he gets paid mileage, like he doesn't have to drive there for free.
okay, I see.
But it says outside the scope of their normal assigned committee responsibilities. So at the organizational meeting once a year, we are assigned to committees. So you don't get paid to attend those.
Okay, okay. I was just thinking that we were just doing a double-edged sword there, that,
No, that this isn't pulling anything over. Going to the Alberta Munis thing obviously works out well for some because they go, but
Yeah.
you don't have to.
right, okay,
And that is outside of your committee responsibilities.
okay. Yeah,
Any other questions or concerns? Seeing none, James made this. All in favor? Opposed? It's carried. And then policy number 65, seized items and storage fees. Matthew? I have a question. What happens if they can't pay?
Front yard?
Okay, and you're gonna stick with that? Okay,
They can make a request to council directly to waive the fee.
there you go.
so he can be the bad guy.
Why not?
They're so negative. We've been the good guys too.
All right. Any other questions? All in favor? Opposed? That is carried. Moving on to others. We have all the important meetings and events in the next month. Good job,
You
Bonnie.
guys get Monday off work?
Oh,
Yes.
you guys good. So I think it's easier for them to count on their hand when
I
they've
don't.
got work. I wasn't count.
Yeah. Inside the side of the oh, can't get.
Paid holiday.
Holiday.
Paid holidays, Jim,
Yeah.
paid holidays.
Holidays are easy. It's the getting paid would be the bonus.
Yeah, that would be a real bonus, yeah. Oh,
But,
And the 14th, you guys.
is there anything that just
2 weeks.
added on to this? No, I think that's.
Come work for the county.
I should come work for the town of Redcliff. Tell you.
Well, they wouldn't marry James.
Yeah. Well, I actually know how to use the shovel.
Did anybody move these yet?
I haven't there once.
Okay, Chris.
A lot of meetings.
All in favor? Opposed? Carried.
This is good.
That says Chris, C-H-R-I-S.
That's awesome. Are you gonna have donuts for the budget?
Do we need a break? Let's take 5 minutes.
clicking the button.
Clicking button.
We're gonna click our button.
Hmm.
I was just thinking the same thing.
Oh.
Well,
Flick that to yourself.
All in favor?
Now we're open already.
Okay, I'd like to make,
Oh, are we up? Okay, we're good.
okay, I'd like to make a motion that we donate $5,000 to this Redcliff Legacy Fund. And this is the $5,000 that we have in, or whatever's left of the $5,000 that we have in our donation fund.
He didn't listen.
Okay, any questions or concerns? All in favor? Opposed? It's carried.
the SPCA motion to throw $5,000 in for the spay and neuter assistance program. But furthermore to,
Thought we were just gonna give the administration to see if they'll take
He's
that.
making a motion, Kathy.
well,
He's already motion shy today. Let him make a motion.
what's wrong with making the motion that we give it the support, and if they don't accept it, then it's done? Or would you prefer it the other way?
Whichever you'd like.
Just make a motion.
I'm making the motion. That we give them $5,000 more, but we want the $5,000 to go towards,
Subject to it being to Redcliff
subject to it
animals.
being towards Redcliff animals. Some sort of proof showing that. Thank you.
Okay. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. And adjournment. Matt,
I thought that was the way out of the airport.
all in favor? Opposed?